Every Half-Life mod should always strive to do something different, take the Half-Life story and be inspired to create another unique story within that universe. Amalgam is a Half-Life 2 mod that does exactly that, but leans a little more into a genre somewhat lacking from the Half-Life series: horror. This mod was made back in November of 2020 by Sami Naskali, otherwise known as Radiationwow or Troiz, who was not only the lead director for this mod but did an excellent job with the music of this game, and some extra voice acting on top of that. Amalgam has recently released an updated version called Amalgam 2.0, which only came out last month, featuring new chapters and improvements to old chapters, new sounds, music and dialogue. I need to say I did not play the previous version, however after watching walkthroughs of version 1, I can visibly see a lot of improvements. Noticeably, one of my favourite chapters with the lighthouse, all the way down to the Strider boss fights, was not present with the previous version at all. And to be honest, I feel that the adventure feels really empty without some of the levels such as the haunted house, hunter boss fights and the Strider boss fights. And it also makes the game noticeably longer and flow a lot better. During my first playthrough, this game was about 3-ish hours, and during its second it was about 2. But bolloxed finished the first one in only 1, so if you haven't played the new updated version, I urge you to do so before continuing on with this story summary analysis. With that out of the way, let's get right into this adventure of Amalgam and what makes it so awesome. It took a while before I noticed this happening, but the main menu actually features Combine talking to each other in what seems like real time, and then one of them going up to a random civilian and pestering her for no reason, and then afterwards just laughing it off and letting her go. But when you start chapter 1, status add DM, you get a real idea of what you're in for. You hear Gordon Freeman breathing heavily, only to be greeted by the G-Man creepily appearing out of a white door. There are two main things that make this scene so damn powerful: the suspense and tone in the music, as well as the G-Man's voice, voiced by none other than Japanese Bush Baby, who we already know does a killer G-Man impression, is pretty much spot on. He apologizes, but his employers have shown interest in your services again, and you have a role to play in matters that are far beyond your understanding. Right after being teleported to a room with a zombie about to eat your nipples, you get teleported to a small room with a crowbar jammed into the wall. Upon exiting the room, the rebels are shocked to see that you're still alive, and holy crap, the music here is really intense. It honestly feels like if Half-Life 2's OST was produced in a haunted mansion or something. In the next room, you hear what seems to be rebels fighting the Combine from the radio, and 2 injured rebels in the same room getting treated for their wounds. Oh yeah, and there's a gnome. Yeah, the gnome can piss off. You get informed that you were apparently in conflict with the Combine before suddenly appearing here. The rebels at this location were attempting to take out a relay before being swarmed, and now it's up to you to deal with that shenanigans. When you exit and start making your way through the map, you will notice 2 things. There's some jump scares that will catch you off guard, and there's a lot of interconnectedness with the layout, both of which feel really nice. When you reach chapter 2, Waste Disposal, you will get a message from someone about being stuck in the main security office, surrounded by zombies, and he wants you to come fast. This really instills a sense of horror within this mission. When you're walking around alone in this eerie waste disposal facility, accompanied by an ominous soundtrack, and the occasional noise happening here and there, you really get the heebie-jeebies. I'm not usually a scaredy cat when playing games, but this felt really awesomely creepy, and I highly recommend playing this with headphones on. There's this metal door that constantly slowly opens and closes because there's a severed torso blocking its way, and when you get to one of the rooms, there's live security footage of Combine units moving through the building. Not knowing where they are or when they will show up is actually quite horrifying, not to mention you're already on edge from the random zombies you find in pitch black. This is the perfect way to set up a creepy scene that I feel they do perfectly with each chapter. You will notice that this mod requires you to observe your surroundings. Sometimes there will be a vent in a place you could miss or a valve that you will need to find, but overall the puzzles presented within this chapter as well as the immersive environment completely glued me to the screen. Every second I was playing I was 100% engaged. Eventually you come across the mysterious guy talking to you over the intercoms. You see he is indeed surrounded by zombies and he is just about to open the door for you before an epic holdout scene with fast zombies ensues. I felt that this was really fun. However, there were moments where there were no fast zombies spawning in for quite a long time, to the point where I thought that the holdout section was over. When it does finally end, the random guy doesn't have much to say except for letting you know that you are off to find and shut down something on the coast, and the next section goes from feeling ominous to feeling like sand traps in a way. I feel that this section really encapsulates a feeling of lost hope. You see houses that used to be people's homes and one person who even hanged himself inside the house. You fight off some antlions and come across a random dude at an outpost telling you that you need to destroy a combine relay, so you go on your merry way through more really well designed maps. Before we move on, I noticed that there was some boxes and there was a ledge that I could possibly get onto, thinking to myself there's no way there's anything over here, and if there is, the map designer wouldn't have even thought to have put anything here, but I was wrong. I somehow made myself over, and then when I did, there were a bunch of supplies here. It goes to show that these map designers actually cared about their maps, and they thought outside the box. But moving on, there's combine units blocking your path as well as a tricky sniper at the end of this long walkway, which makes taking out the bastard all the more satisfying. After heading to the end of this section and opening a door that was at the start of the walkway, you will be greeted by the ever so lovely Zen drop pods that messed up Ravenholm, and when you reach the top of the relay tower you will have your first boss fight against a combine gunship, and when you take that out it comes crashing down into the relay tower, conveniently destroying it for you. Now you have to escape through the tunnels, and unfortunately I thought that we were going to be able to ride this APC right outside this building. However, it turns out that you have to continue on foot through the tunnels. But the next location is incredibly well designed with dead bodies and blood on the floor and walls. I mean, it really gives off such a crazy vibe. Station 9 lets this area know that the Combine have started raiding their positions and advises everyone to continue sabotaging the beacons before it's too late. One minor complaint I do have about this game that I didn't really notice until I used the gravity gun was you barely use the gravity gun at all. Before you continue on through more tunnels, you do eventually find a car. However, you can't shoot out of this one, which is a little bit upsetting. But this is something this game loves, which is tunnels. There's loads of tunnels in this game, and they're all very well designed. I feel like I've been saying very well designed a lot, but I have no other way of describing this. During the driving segments, you're able to find some lambda caches on your car's minimap, which I think is pretty neato. The next location features two really fitting creepy Half-Life 2 Easter eggs: the G-Man radio music in the lighthouse and the sounds of laughing children at the playground near the water. Further on, after you shut down the lighthouse beacon, you come across one of the coolest haunted houses in Half-Life 2 mods, but at the same time, one of the most frustrating. The actual house itself is creepy as hell, and I found myself being jumpier than usual, and there's even this ghost that just walks by willy-nilly. However, it was here that brought their style of progression full throttle. Like I said, this game requires you to observe your surroundings. There's no real puzzles that make you think, it's more so trying to find things. And I don't mind finding power boxes to open up doors, and I think it was actually really fitting for this area, but it seems that they were just scattered around with no real purpose, and when you eventually find where you need to put them all, you realize the walk is just way too far for it to be enjoyable, and there's 4 that you know where they are, but you have to take them all one by one, walking back and forth. And it does suck because this was easily the coolest maps in the game, kind of ruined by a tedious walk. When you eventually open the door, you get greeted by a few hunters that scream at you from the distance. And something funny that happened on my first playthrough was I parked my car in their walkway, so none of them were able to come at me at all, and I was just shooting them from a distance. That being said, on my second playthrough, I made sure to park the car a little bit further up so they could come and fight me, enemy, and the fight was actually really well balanced and fun. You eventually come across a rebel station where, after failing to contact the other stations, they're extremely grateful that you have shown up. They believe using this maintenance shaft is the easiest way inside the beacon that is located here, and it's crucial to shut down this one, especially since it's used as the main relay between citadels. After the gate is open for you and combat between rebels and Combine ensues, it's here I have to give my compliments to the pacing of this section and the choice of enemies in the waves and the map layout as a whole. This is easily one of the best sections in any mod I've played. First, there's your first wave of Combine, then being greeted by a Strider, then Combines, then Strider, then Combines, then Strider, and then to finish it off, there's Zen drop pods that come crashing down from the sky. There was constant thrilling action with just the right amount of ammo for your rocket launcher and cover to duck and dodge from the Striders. This felt almost like a hybrid of a Half-Life map and Halo map in one. Now it's all up to you to infiltrate this citadel and put a stop to this all. I know I keep comparing this game to other games and mods, but I feel like this chapter of the Citadel plays it safe. It's pretty well balanced and doesn't do anything creative or crazy like the ending of Entropy 01, and there are some really well designed long stretches like this one, and then the arenas that you fight a bunch of Combine in, but I do have to mention this game loses its horror spark from all the previous chapters in this area, and I would have liked to see a creepier take on the Citadel, perhaps where you're a little bit more stealthy, crawling through vents and getting jump scared or something, or even see people get transformed into stalkers. I feel that this mod being a part of the horror genre could have really lent into that a lot more, but what happens after you take out this Citadel relay is left a mystery, but it's clear that the G-Man is both very impressed with you and not yet done with your contract. But in the end, as always, it never fails to surprise me what such a small team can do with the Half-Life 2 engine. This was a blast to play from beginning to end, and I'm very excited to see what Sami Naskali will do next. Everything was great about this mod. It had great soundtrack, great soundscape, great replay value, and great aesthetics and mapping, especially in the early chapters. And after all, I mean, it is free on Steam. And there's achievements as well now added, so that's pretty cool. You do get more time out of this mod than a lot of other mods, so even if there are a few downsides people have experienced, I can't help but recommend this to everyone who needs another Half-Life experience that strives to be unique. I hope you all enjoyed this story summary and analysis video of Amalgam. If you want to, please subscribe, like, and comment down below, as it goes a long way for the growth of this channel. And let me know if there's another Half-Life 2 mod or Half-Life mod that you want me to review, or if I missed out on anything worth mentioning about Amalgam. As always, stay safe, stay humble, stay sexy.